واتقوا الله ويعلمكم الله والله بكل شيء عليم.
الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Welcome back to another episode of Daily Dua. Inshallah ta'ala, before we start talking about daily supplications and athkaar, we need to learn how to make dua. So that is what we will be covering today. We'll be covering the etiquettes of how to make dua. So we'll start off with the etiquettes that pertain to what you should do before you make dua, what you should be doing while making dua, what you should do after you make dua. So let's start with what you should do before you make dua. Before you make dua, try your best, even though it's not a condition for your dua to be accepted, but try your best to make dua while you're in a state of tahara, while you're in a state of wudu, and try your best to face the qibla. Because remember, this is an act of worship. And the best way to conduct an act of worship is to be in a state of purification, a state of wudu. Now let's move on to what you should be doing while making dua. What you should be doing while making dua. The first one and the most important one is al-ikhlas, for you to be sincere. Because without sincerity, your dua is worthless. Your dua has no meaning. It has no worth. You need to be sincere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَادْعُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity. Now, the second point is, and the second thing that you should be doing, is that you should raise your hands. You should raise your hands when you're making dua. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ رَبَّكُمْ حَيٌّ كَرِيمٌ يَسْتَحْيِي مِنْ عَبْدِهِ إِذَا رَفَعَ يَدَيْهِ إِلَيْهِ أَنْ يَرُدَّهُمَا صِفْرًا. That your Lord is Kareem, He is generous, and He is shy that if His slave lifts his or her hands to their Lord, that He would return them back to them empty-handed, that they would go back empty-handed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to accept your dua. Raise your hands and turn to your Lord. The third point is that you should be consistent and persistent in your dua. While you're making dua, repeat what you want and repeat it again and again, over and over. Even if that means you have to make dua a few times in the day, whether it be twice or 3 times or 4 times. And the fourth and final thing you should be doing while making dua is you need to have sincerity, you need to have certainty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your dua. You need to have certainty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your dua. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba." Call upon your Lord while knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your dua, while having certainty that Allah will accept your dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Hadith al-Qudsi, أَنَا عِنْدِي ظَنِّي عَبْدِي بِي فَلْيَظُنَّ بِي مَا شَاءَ إِنْ ظَنَّ بِي خَيْرًا فَلَهُ وَإِنْ ظَنَّ شَرًّا فَلَهُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that I am what my slave thinks of me. If he thinks of me in a positive way, and he thinks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always help him, will always guide him and aid him, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always guide you. Allah will always help you and aid you when you need it. If you think that whenever I get into a difficult situation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always get me out of that difficult situation, then that is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with you. But if you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a negative way, and think that Allah will never accept your dua, and that life is against you, and nothing ever goes right for you, that is how your life will be. Now let's move on to the final part, which is what you should be doing after you make dua. And that is, you shouldn't rush to try and see if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted your dua, and then getting heartbroken when you can't find what you're looking for. The Prophet ﷺ said, يُسْتَجَابُ لِأَحَدِكُمْ مَا لَمْ يُعَجِّلْ فَيَقُولُ قَدْ دَعَوْتُ رَبِّي فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِبْ لِي. The Prophet ﷺ said that your dua will be accepted as long as you don't rush and say, I called upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I called upon my Lord, but my Lord did not accept my dua. The second thing that you should be doing, and to be honest, this pertains to what you should be doing this before you make dua, and you should be doing this after you make dua, which is staying away from consuming that which is haram, clothing yourself with that which is haram, eating and drinking that which is haram. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, ثم ذكر رجلا يطيل السفر أشعث أغبر يمد يديه إلى السماء يقول يا رب يا رب. That the Prophet ﷺ mentioned a man, and he was traveling, and him traveling is a reason for his dua to be accepted. And he ﷺ said that this man was scruffy, and he looked rough and dusty, and he raised his hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. But what he eats is haram, what he clothes himself with is haram, what he consumes is haram. So how does he expect his dua to be accepted? The hadith doesn't mean that your dua will never be accepted, but these are reasons for your dua to not be accepted. These are things that may prevent your dua from being accepted. So think carefully about what you consume and how you spend your money. And if you spend haram money, and if you consume haram things, and clothe yourself with haram things. So these are the etiquettes of how a person should make dua. Subhanakallah bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.